Welcome back to your podcast, our podcast, the Popular Side podcast. As always, we have Yinka Yusuf and
Hello, people.
I am Akin. Hey, I'm Akin Adeke.
Yeah.
All right, Yinka.
Yes,
Today
sir.
is Sunday, the 28th of July. We're recording Sunday evening.
Yes,
And
we are.
it's been another fun week in sports. We have a lot to get to.
Yes, we do.
uh,
Yes, we do.
but first,
So, Akin, before
how
we
was your
even
week, sir?
start, before even going into how the week was,
Yeah.
our social media manager has advised
Okay.
that we should do our
Yes.
subscription plea at the beginning rather than wait till 1 hour 30 minutes at the end. So don't let's be
Okay,
forgetful.
that's fair. All right.
Let's do that. So
Okay,
help us out
let's
with
do
that
that.
first.
All right. So we are trying to build this channel, as you all know. We need you all to please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have a lot more followers on IG than we have subscribers on YouTube. YouTube is our platform for now. Please help us. I think we have over 400 plus subscribers now, which is good. But we're trying to get to 1,000. So help us get to 1,000. We have over 1,000 on IG. So let's get to that 1,000. Let's go.
Let's go.
Good enough, Yinka?
Good enough. So,
right.
How was your week then?
So, me, I had a crazy week of travel. Not because I was doing anything crazy, but because I had delays at the airport. I was just traveling from DC to Boston, an hour 10 minutes. But on Monday, going to Boston, I was delayed at the airport for 6 hours for my 1 hour, 10-minute flight. And then, yeah. And I was already at the airport. There was a storm here. There was a storm in Boston. So the inbound flight didn't make it until 3 hours after I was supposed to have left. It was crazy. And then Thursday night coming back, I started getting the notification before I left for the airport. So I stayed at the hotel and just kept working. And then it ended up being delayed about 4 hours. So I had about 10, 11 hours of delays over 2 days. And then, the program I went for, was crazy. 8 a.m. starts, and you know me and 8 a.m. starts. Not a fan. 8 a.m. starts, staying up late. So I came back completely broken. And this was after coming back from the UK the day before. So it's been a long 2 weeks of travel. What about you?
So maybe I shouldn't tell you about my own week then, because my week was fun. It was
tell
fun.
Tell me. Let me live vicariously through you.
So light workload, but on Friday we had an all-white party in my office.
Oh, nice.
Our year end is from June to July. Yeah. So we had a good year. So we decided to celebrate that.
Nice.
So the better part of Friday, I was having fun with my colleagues.
Must
then I
be
also
nice.
attended.
Must be nice.
It was nice. It was very nice. Then I also attended a wedding this afternoon. A friend of mine's junior sister got married, so I had to put on my agbada cap and all that.
Congratulations to them. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
The couple they actually live they will be living in the US. They're going back to the US. They just came back to do the wedding for us here in Nigeria.
Nice.
So
nice.
I had fun. You are the one that chose to be an Ajala.
No such thing for me.
You chose the Ajala life.
No such thing for me. But hey,
I can imagine how irritating
you're the big
and
man
annoying.
Of Vegas, so
I know how irritating and annoying it will be.
Very frustrating
if you spend 7-8 hours for something that should have taken you 2 hours max, or probably
Absolutely.
From one place to the other, from home to hotel on the other side should have taken you probably 2.5, 3 hours.
Yeah.
But you end up spending 8 hours for that. That's crazy.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy though, because each time I got either to the hotel in Boston or home in DC past midnight each time. But the good thing about getting to, not good, but the silver lining getting to Boston late was I was forced to find food, and I found a Ghanaian takeout place that I could order food from on Monday night, and it was actually quite good. I got like the wache, and it was fantastic. So that was actually good. So with some goat meats. All right, so let's get started.
Cool.
Inka, the Olympics are on right now, right? So
yes, they are.
The Olympics in Paris, France. Do you care about the Olympics? Do you like the Olympics?
Of course I do. Of course I do. How can a sports person not care about the Olympics or like the Olympics? Of course I do.
Well, okay. What do you like about the Olympics? What events do you like? What events do you care about?
So it's not everything, yeah? For example, fencing, archery, swimming, I don't I don't care at all about those, right? Ones I'm interested in are definitely track and fields, basketball, football, and tennis, and maybe volleyball to some extent,
But beach or regular? Beach volleyball or regular volleyball?
Actually, regular, right?
Regular.
I think I prefer the regular. The beach is not really fun. The regular, one is where you see 2-on-2 is I don't like it. It's the athleticism, the way they jump, the way they smash. It amazes me, I love the volleyball too. But the top 4 will be track and field, basketball, football, and tennis. How about you?
Yeah, so it's really hard for me to take Olympic basketball seriously. When I know what the end result will be. The U.S. women will win. They've been winning for 32 years. They haven't lost a game in 32 years. And then the U.S. men, they've won the last 4 golds. I don't think they lost a game in the last 4 editions since the Redeem team came back. And for me, we've talked about this. I don't like the way either team was put together. I think on the women's side, I think Arike and Caitlin probably should have been there. On the men's side, I don't think Embiid should have been there, and I think Jaylen Brown should have been there. I probably would not have taken Booker. Probably would not have taken Steph. Definitely would not have taken Derek White. Definitely would not have tried to take Kawhi. So I feel like there's a lot of hubris. I don't like hubris with my sports. They're gonna win. It's just not gonna give me a lot of joy watching them. Today was an exception. I love watching LeBron. So whenever LeBron plays well, it's a good day for me. And I love KD. But they're doing weird things. Halliburton didn't get off the bench. What's the other guy? Tatum didn't get off the bench. It's just weird rotation, weird things. Embiid looked awful the first couple minutes. The whole thing was just weird to me. But anyway, just me.
It was weird. It was weird. Yeah, it wasn't just you. It was indeed weird. KD and Bron carried the team today. KD shot 100% from the field, for example, today.
He crazy.
Was perfect.
It's crazy.
He was on fire, right? And I'm like, if KD's playing this way, if Bron's playing this way, it's most likely going to be a blowout all through to gold medal. Nobody, team can handle the two of them. It's just impossible. And one surprising thing for me was Jason Tatum, like you said, he was a DMP, right? And Steve Kerr said it wasn't the fact that he was injured. He wasn't injured. He just chose not to play him. And I'm like, really? You know, you and I have our issues with Steve Kerr, but this is weird on multiple levels for me.
It's not a great coach.
It's weird on multiple levels for me. Why would you do that? You know? But yeah, South Sudan played today. South Sudan won their first game. They beat Puerto Rico. Watch out for South Sudan.
That's amazing.
They might end up on the podium. They are that good.
Wow.
They might end up on the podium. So be on the lookout for them. Yeah. So that's basketball more or less. The track and fields have not started yet, Akin. I think that's the latter part of the Olympics. The football is far gone because they need to start the games earlier to be able to accommodate the number of games that they have, or else we won't finish the football by the time the Olympic ends. There's been some crazy incidences. I'm not sure if you've caught up with them.
Yes.
Did you watch the Argentina men's football Argentina-Morocco game? So the Argentina-Morocco game, very, very crazy game. Morocco were up 2-0 sometimes in the second half. Argentina pulled one back. And I don't know what's going on in these Olympics, but we're back to seeing injury time as high as 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It's stupid.
13 minutes,
So the injury, exactly. So the extra time that we had for the Morocco-Argentina game was like 15, 16 minutes, if not more.
Yeah.
Argentina scores they scored in like the 106th or 108th minute or thereabout, right? And, there are plenty Moroccan fans in Paris because Morocco and Paris,
of course,
it's like, you have a lot of Moroccan, families and Moroccan communities in France. A lot of them were in the stadium. They felt bad about the equalizer and they stomped the pitch. They were throwing things onto the pitch. So the match was abandoned. The ref did not finish the game. Okay? The match was abandoned for a long time for security personnel to get everybody back to wherever they were. Then the ref comes onto the pitch and says that goal that led to the whole brouhaha, that goal was going to be subjected to a VAR check. And the VAR check cancelled the goal. 2 hours after.
Yeah.
2 good hours after. The VAR then rules out the goal, right? And then declares Morocco the winner of the game. Which was interesting. And I would have thought, why come back 2 hours to do that? If it's 2 hours, the game is over. The game is over. There's no point doing a VAR check 2 hours after. Whoever decided that was the right thing to do, that felt somehow. Especially when it's the Moroccan fans that invaded the pitch. It wasn't the Argentine fans. The Argentine coach that was at Barca, Javier Mascherano? Mascherano was like, I've seen a lot of crazy stuff in football. I've never seen this before. And he was very livid. He was angry. He didn't hold back at all. And I thought that was ridiculous. But overall, the Argentine group is a very, very interesting group. So in that group, you have Argentina, Iraq, Morocco, and Ukraine. Morocco beat Argentina, right? 2-1. In the first game, Iraq beat Ukraine. Second round of games, Morocco lose to Ukraine, despite the fact that Ukraine went down to 10 men. Ukraine did a smash and grab in the last minute. Very, very interesting game also. Then Argentina beat Iraq. So right now, everybody's on 3 points after 2 games. Everybody's on 3 points after 2 games. So the final game is now between Argentina and Ukraine, Morocco and Iraq. So it's anybody's game. Yeah. I just thought that was an interesting group. So men's football has been fun. Female football, I'm sure you watched some of the US teams games. So you want to talk about that a bit?
I did. Yeah, I did. So quick one on the men's. I'm just glad Messi is not on this team. because they would have blamed him for what happened. So I'm just glad that it wasn't. They would have found their way to blame him for the VAR, for all the fouls, all of that stuff. So thank you, Messi,
they would have even blamed him for
the
pitch invasion by the Moroccans.
For the pitch invasion by Moroccans. Yeah. So I'm glad it wasn't there. So that honestly, that was what I was thinking when I saw the ruckus. Before I go to the women's, there's been a couple of insane games. The one you talked about was crazy. Paraguay Israel was really, really crazy. I think he ended up being like 4-2 Paraguay. They had a bunch of really good goals. This guy is he Fernandez from Paraguay? Scored like a beauty, just a cracker from like the left corner, curved it in. Israel pushed back, but they ended up losing 4-2. So that was really fun. France has been very interesting to me. You know, we have a vested interest because we think Henry is the best thing since sliced bread, and we want him to get a real coaching job. I thought it was interesting that it's 3 overage players. Yinka, we were talking about this just before we started recording. He brought Mateta from Crystal Palace. I don't know how old Mateta. Mateta must be like maybe 26, maybe 20. Yeah, he looks older than he is, but he runs 27. Like an old man. Okay, yeah. So I think, yeah. So he runs like an old man, but he's not that old. But he actually brought an actual old man who runs like an old man, Alexandre Lacazette.
Yeah.
But he scored a beauty in the first game. He scored the first goal of the first game. They were playing the US. They beat the US 3-0. Michael Olise is on this team. So I think he just answered the question of who is he going to commit his international future to. You know, he qualifies for Algeria, Nigeria, England, and France. So, and now that he's played U23, he probably will try to play for France. And now that he's going to be at Bayern Munich, hopefully that's good enough now for what's the name of the French coach? But yes, Mr. Didier Deschamps. So I thought that was a very interesting, you know, Mateta and Lacazette being played together. One being on the squad was fascinating to me, and then being played together, and they got played together for most of the game. I thought that was interesting. And Lacazette is actually running now, so I don't know what happened to him his last season at Arsenal, but you know, that's interesting. And then they played Guinea, their second match, and Guinea played them really tight. Guinea had a game a goal disallowed. Naby Keita, you know, all the stuff he couldn't do for Liverpool. He was actually, you know, he was doing some good things. And they narrowly beat Guinea, 1-0. So Henry is doing well. France is doing well. That's who I'm rooting for because Nigeria is not there. So that's who I'm rooting for. The US turned around after their loss on the men's side. They turned around and beat, I want to say, New Zealand. It 4-1? I think it was 4-1. It was pretty
probably 5-1 at the end of the day.
4-1 or 5-1. 5-1. Yeah, you're right.
So it was 4-1. It was 4-1.
But anyway, going to the women. 4-1. Okay. All right. Thank you. So going to the women, Nigeria played 2 very tight games. One against Brazil. You know, it was more of a Nigeria doing most of the playing. Brazil did the only scoring that matters. Brazil also had a goal disallowed by Mata. And then Mata gave just an insane assist for the goal that actually stood. And Nigeria, I think Nigeria has a great goalkeeper, but we keep letting her down because we just conspired not to score goals when we play. And then earlier today, Nigeria played Spain. Spain are world champions, right? I believe Spain. Yeah, Spain are world champions.
Yeah, they are.
And honestly, we didn't look out of place. I think we looked more out of place in the coaching department, right? Again, there was a disallowed goal, and then absolute worldy that almost broke our goalkeeper's back. Worldy of a free kick, and that was really sad because so in this tournament, Yinka, There are 16 men's teams, but only 12 women's teams. So and there are only three groups of 4. So 2 third place finishers will make it to the quarterfinals, right? So Nigeria can still make it, right? But that means Nigeria needs to beat Japan because I believe Japan beat Brazil earlier today. Yeah, I believe so. So anyway, Nigeria has to beat Japan to have a shot at the quarterfinals.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right on from the women's perspective. I actually thought, or maybe once again, I'm giving this white coaches too much credit. I actually thought Waldron, I think Waldron is his name, the Nigerian coach. I actually thought Waldron would bring a bit of cohesion to our offensive play, right? Because Akin, for years, defense, we've had solid defense and solid midfield, right? Azizat Oshoala was our only attacking option. Now the decline has affected her to the point that she can't do it alone. She needs people. She needs to play with people. We don't have that, right? The 2 games that we played, Brazil and Spain, we didn't look out of place. And I was actually quite impressed. I thought these people were going to blow Nigeria out of the water, especially Spain today. Spain has world beaters from a female standpoint. They have Alexis Putellas, they have Bonmati, they have that black lady that plays up front for them.
She's called
I thought they were really going to blow us out. Yeah, the tall black Paraguelo, I can't remember her name.
Paraluelo,
but I know Bonmati and Putellas. Those two, Paraguelo. Putellas scored. That free kick was just, there was nothing the keeper could do. She put it where the keeper couldn't reach. Yeah. But that was it. We actually had chances against Spain. We had better chances against Brazil. We should have beat Brazil. But if that offensive cohesion, that tiki-taka, creating chances, if it's just limited to speed and we running past defenders, that's not what we want. That's what we've been doing for years. But we now have older people. Ajibade is older. Asisat is older. So I was wondering, all these are the 17 female players that we had, like this young girl, Sebastian. Why wasn't Sebastian called up for the national team? Let's bring in a bit of youth into that front lineup. And I know for female, you don't have under 23. It's just the national team that plays the Olympics. Yeah. But I would have expected Nigeria to freshen things up a bit up front. I didn't like the idea of what's her name, of Asisa. Although she didn't start the first match, but she played the second match. Or maybe the coach felt maybe she's playing against known people because she used to play for Barcelona, and half of the Spanish team is from the Barcelona from the Barcelona team. Maybe that is why. But I just thought, I didn't really. We can do better than this. Yeah. But like you said, Japan, we now have to do something against Japan. And Japan beat Brazil earlier on today. Japan beat Brazil
they came back. Today. Yeah, they were down 1-0. They came back and scored 2 late goals to beat Brazil.
And scored 2 late goals. Yeah.
So I was thinking about this.
There was a game. Yeah. There was a game today, Aki. Okay, go ahead.
No. Finish the. I know the game you're going to talk about. Finish that, and then we'll come back.
So I was saying. Okay. So there was a game, which this was the Australia-Zambia game, right? To start with, I wish Nigeria had the 2 Zambian attackers.
Oh yeah.
If we could they should give us those 2 girls and we can dash them Ajibade and Oshoala. Banda and Kundananji. Those 2. God. The 2 of them play in the US League. Banda plays for Orlando Pride and Kundananji plays with Asisat at BFC. Those 2 girls are something else. Banda scored a hat-trick today. Kundenaji got 2. The game ended 6-5 in favor of Australia.
Crazy.
At a point, 56th minute, second half, Zambia were up by 5 goals to 2. 5-2. Then all of a sudden, the Australian women just, it's like they got, maybe they drank a liquid that gave them extra power. Arsenal's Steph Catley scored 2 goals, and Australia ended up winning the game 6-5. It's just unfortunate that the Zambian ladies cannot defend, but they play free-flowing football. Their offense is lightning quick. Those 2 ladies, I mean, they were just superb today. So for me, that has been the game of the tournament. Very, very interesting game. Akin.
So Yinka, we saw them at the World Cup, and we love their attack at the World Cup. They don't have a goalkeeper. That's a real problem that they have. Their goalkeeper is not good. What's disappointing to me, and this is just going back to, so let me stay in the Australia group real quick. So this is the same group that has the US and Germany. So in the first match, the US had too easy a time with Zambia, to the point that one of my friends literally texted me what is wrong with African countries? Why can't they play? That's how bad Zambia looks. They just look, I mean, the 3-0 flattered Zambia greatly. It flattered them greatly. It was more about why didn't Mallory Swanson and Rodman, why didn't they score more? They could have scored more, Lindsay Horan could have scored more. Yeah, Trinity Rodman. The US press was talking about the train spin, the move she made to score the first goal. And everybody was going crazy, and it was just embarrassing. Why are you at the Olympics and they're using you for target practice? That was very embarrassing. Germany, Australia gave Germany a game, but Germany won relatively comfortably, which is what you expect from Germany, So for me, it's just like Zambia, if you're up 5-2, you got to win that game with half an hour to go. What are you doing? So that's my take. So Yinka, I continue to feel this way about the way the world treats women's sports. Yinka, based on, I told you, I was at the World Cup in France in 2019, the Women's World Cup with my daughter, right? I wasn't in Australia, New Zealand in 23, but I watched pretty much all the games. The improvement, in my opinion, I may be a little biased because I'm a big fan of the game and I really want the women to succeed. But the improvement from 19 to 23, in my opinion, leaps and bounds. There was no team in 2019 playing like 2023 Spain. Okay. That was an improvement. The goalkeeping.
Totally agree.
Yinka, the goalkeeping was at least twice as good within 4 years. And it was 4 years, 2019, 20, because COVID didn't affect the women's game. Because for me, that was the big problem in 2019. Everybody was getting better, but the goalkeeping was not good. And then in 4 years, I'm like, oh, goalkeepers are good now. This game is really going somewhere. So I say all that to say, what is the rationale, Yinka, behind only having 12 teams at the Olympics? It's embarrassing. The men have 16, I mean, the World Cup moved to 24, right? For the first time ever. And we didn't see a drop in quality. Instead, we saw first-timers Morocco. Morocco at the World Cup looked like they've been playing forever. But they just allowed women to play 2 days before the World Cup. So I'm like, come on. So you've seen the World Cup expand to 24, but the Olympics is 12? It's why do we keep doing these things? It's the same thing I told you about the WNBA. It's always about sabotage. They're like, oh, we have this, great player coming in ready-made. She does everything the right way, but we're not going to put her in the skills competition. She's not going to be on the Olympics team, every time she plays, we're gonna knock her down and knock her teeth out of her mouth, And I'm like, and I told you, I'm like, she's gonna do what she has to do, but they're gonna mess it up, And they started messing it up by the Washington Mystics not drafting Angel Reese. It was a layup and they fumbled it. So it's just something about the administration of women's sports that I think it's because men continue to run it. I think that's the problem.
Fair, very, very fair point, Aki. And the point you raised around having 12 teams at the Olympics, I was quite shocked, right?
Yeah.
And I looked at it, I'm like, so for example, there's no England team in the Olympics. Right?
They didn't make it.
Because for the Olympics, it's not England, it's not Scotland, it's going to be Great Britain.
Right?
Yeah. So then also there was a qualifying issue. They used Nations League or something for qualifiers, and they didn't top the group and all that kind of nonsense. And I'm like, you have so Netherlands also, I don't think they're in this tournament also. They're not in the Olympics. So I'm now wondering why? What is the big deal? Why can't you have 16 teams? Why can't you have 16 teams? It's just ridiculous, frankly. The US game has finished now. I see US beat Germany 4-1, which is quite impressive. Swanson, Smith, and Williams. Is US the pipeline for the US women's national team is quite solid, right?
Yeah.
Smith is 21, 22, I guess.
It's amazing.
Trinity Rodman is around the same age. So Rodman, Smith, and Swanson. I think Swanson is slightly older. She's probably 25,
she's
26.
Older. She's older.
Yeah.
She's been around.
Those three, wow. Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
I'm quite impressed with them. They're very good. Very, very good footballers.
So this is a slightly unpopular opinion, but I'm just gonna say it because I think I have the right to say it because I'm actually a fan. There was a crop of women that nobody liked, and they made this team unwatchable and unlikable, right? And this is not a political statement, right? I support every woman. I support every athlete. This is not a political statement. Sometimes people don't like you. That's the reality.
Yeah.
And that crop of women on the U.S. women's national team, they made this team the ugly American. Nobody likes the ugly American. In contrast, the men don't give ugly American vibes. They give humility. They give, we're striving, we're trying to be better. People like that in their sports. Nobody likes the ugly American, So I'm sorry. I love this team. I always root for them. But when you're no longer the underdog and then you take on this persona, this villain persona or whatever, and that's why they got beat up the last World Cup. But these new girls are likable. And that actually matters. You might think it doesn't. You can't be the villain all the time. I'm sorry. Everyone, think about it, Yinka. Everyone loves Brazil. Look at the teams that are great on the international stage. People love Brazil. People love Argentina. People love Germany. There's no good team on the men's side that nobody likes. It doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? Like, I root against England, but I'm in the minority. Most people love England. I just refuse to root for them. I want them to get beat up and get decapitated every game they play. But that's me. I'm a hater. When it comes to England. On the men's side.
I agree with you on your take. I agree with you on your take on the women's side, it got to a point you needed to let your football do the talking for you, and you forgot about that. And you started saying stuff or alluding to stuff that just didn't make sense. And when people called you out on it, you were doubling down, right? And it got cringe. It was cringy at the point. You're like, what exactly are we talking about here? But I see this current crop, right? They're solid. They're good. These young ladies that you guys have in the American team, right?
That's amazing.
Trinity Rodman, Smith, those two. Oh God. And they're young, so they're gonna, which is an advantage that you have. So if you go to the German national team now, Prince, or what's her name, she's getting on the older side.
Yeah.
Mata in Brazil is old.
She's 38. Mata
the
is
only
38.
people that
That's
have
crazy.
younger players like you guys. The only people that have younger players like you will be England, right? So that means US, England, and Spain will be fighting out, for the gold medal or World Cup, whatever, for the next, only God knows how long. Yeah. Because you guys, all these teams, they all have a young squad, which is quite positive.
All right. So, Yinka, I think we've done enough on the Olympics.
I think, yep, I agree with you.
So,
but we'll still be following the Olympics as time goes, as the event goes by. I'm really looking forward to track and field. Yeah, that's the sweet spot of the whole thing.
All right, Yinka, let's get to question time. Apologies, everyone. It took about 3 weeks for us to get to this, but there was so much going on in the world of sports. Every time we try to do questions, there was more important things to talk about. So we talked about more important things. And we have some friends who get mad at us when we go above 90 minutes. So so we decided not to extend the time too much. All right. So Yinka, you ready for this? All right. So what I'll do, I'll read the question and then we'll decide who's going to answer it, or you, me, or both, or whatever. And then some of them we need to discuss and then we'll discuss. Okay. So the first one says, all right, what are your thoughts on the rising stars in tennis, male and female? Do you think they can eclipse the big 3 or 4 on the men's side? Will we ever get another Serena on the women's side? Yinka, I think you have to take this.
Okay, so I will. Now, so tennis is my thing. I really, really do love tennis. And if you ask me which side am I more excited about, frankly, it's the feminine side. Okay? Because over the past 4 or 5 years, we've seen multiple people, try to establish their authority on the female side of tennis, right? So right now, the highest ranking female tennis player is Iga Swiatek. Yeah. Swiatek has only won 2 Grand Slams. Okay, she's won French Open multiple times, but she's only won the French Open and the US Open. She has not won Australia Open, and she has not won Wimbledon. However, she's won quite a number of tour events, yeah? But for me, I always discount the tours. I focus on the Grand Slam. The tours are...
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, they're there, but me, I'm a Grand Slam person. Talk to me about Grand Slams when you're talking about tennis, yeah? So if you look at the top 5 in that female ranking, it's Swiatek, it's Coco Gauff. Gauff has only won 1 Grand Slam. 1, as in 1 only. She won the US Open. Was that last year or 2 years ago? Can't even remember. Gauff is number 2.
2 years ago.
Then Sabalenka is that was 2 years ago. Sabalenka is number 3. Rybakina is number 4. Then Paulini is number 5. Yeah. So out of all of them, Coco Gauff is the youngest. Yeah. And you and I, we have a soft spot for Coco Gauff. Yeah. Ever she burst onto the scene several years ago as a 16-year-old. The way she carries herself, young black lady, she's exemplary. Love her. Yeah. But you look at that top 5, and even I can extend it to top 10. Any day, any of them can beat any of them. If you get what I mean. There is no clear-cut favorite. Yeah. Sabalenka on a good day and on her preferred surface, which is hard court, she can kill anybody. Swiatek on a good day on her preferred surface, which is clay, she can beat anybody, right? So that whole crop of young female players, the next 5 years will be absolute, major competition for any of them to kind of ascertain or assert themselves as, you know what, I'm the top female player. I'm the top dog here, right? And that's what I'm looking forward to. But if you flip to the male side, unfortunately, I would say that the crop of players that came after the big three or the big four, a lot of people say it's the big three, but I want to add
it's
more
really big
to
three.
it. Let's just call it the big four. Okay, big three. The crop of players that came after the big three have been disappointing. We all thought Zverev and Medvedev were going to, shorten the reign of the big three, especially Djokovic and Nadal. But we realized that even Nadal and Djokovic in their 30s, 34, 35, they were still dominating. Exactly.
Yeah.
They were still dominating Zverev, Medvedev, Tsitsipas, and all these, all these players that we thought, okay, guys, you needed to take the reins, but they didn't. Unfortunately, they didn't. Now the future of the men's side of tennis is in two young boys that are younger than that class that I was talking to. It's between Carlos Alcaraz and Yannick Sinner. Yeah?
Yeah.
For me, that's the future of tennis. You might want to add a couple of younger ones to it, like, Holger Rune from Denmark. You might want to add Ben Shelton from the US. They're younger, but they're not as good as Alcaraz and Sinner. So right now, the world number one is Yannick Sinner. And number three is Alcaraz. There's still Djokovic that has refused to age or retire in between. Yeah. And so for me, the next 5 years is going to be a battle between Alcaraz and Sinner. And if I'm being honest with you, Aki, I think it's actually going to be the next 5 years will belong to Alcaraz.
I think so too.
I pray none of them get injured. But Alcaraz seems to have the character, the charisma, the athleticism. It seems like a younger Nadal, but he's just right-handed,
Yeah.
So am I really looking forward to a period where there will be domination by one player? Not really. I love competition. So that's why my answer to that question will be, I think the female side is more interesting. And I don't think this crop of current male players will ever replicate that domination that we had with the big three. Actually, that was the best era of tennis. Best era of tennis. I don't think you can, well, don't let me say we can't, but I would be surprised if we, right, as a fan base, witness something like Rafa, Federer, and Djokovic, that competition, I don't think we're going to witness anything like that again. So that's my take, Aki.
Okay. Excellent take. Points, counterpoints. So let me start with the men, right? So Federer is probably my favorite athlete ever. It's Federer, Messi, Henry. So I'm completely biased, right? I got to a point in my Federer watching life where I used to watch like this, because I would get nervous when it was in a tight match, right? So it's totally irrational what I'm about to say. But I think the 80s was the golden era of tennis. But hear me out. This is no, hear me out, Yinka. This is an elevated podcast. We don't do hot takes, right? We do context and we provide deep research and context, aka some shit we heard somewhere and we didn't research at all. But no, what I mean is this, right? Is Messi better than Maradona? You know what I mean? It's actually, that's kind of what I'm thinking about. So there's been I'm going to call it an explosion. When money comes into sports, things get skewed a lot, right? So Messi probably plays twice as many matches a year as Maradona used to play, right? Messi also has the best doctors. Messi was not on cocaine, all of that stuff, right? But Messi also got no rest. So there's all this context, right, that you have to bring to it, right? I mean, there was a time, and I know I'm going into football when we're talking about tennis, but bear with me. There was a time, Yinka, when the best strikers in the world scored a goal every 2 matches, and that was fantastic. And then we had 2 non-strikers scoring pretty much a goal every match. So does that mean Raul was not a great striker? Does that mean Henry was not a great striker? Was Batistuta not a great striker? Things are just different. You know, you went from the 4-4-2, where your wingers had to play defense, to a 4-3-3, where you just stick your wingers up top and they don't have to do anything. You know, context matters. So back to when I think about the, I'm going to say 80s, 90s crop, one, tennis meant more. It didn't pay more, but it meant more as a sport. You know what I mean? At the time, you know, now you can also say, well, the world has opened up. The Eastern Bloc no longer exists. And now that's opened up. But on the West, the best athletes are no longer playing tennis. That's another thing. You know, you look at America is 340 million people, and men aren't really playing tennis. That's why America is not really producing. Yeah. So these are all the context, right? Since Andy Roddick is just been like, you know, and Andy Roddick was 10 years ago, right? So America used to produce champion after champion after champion, right? And then, but now there's been an explosion on the former Eastern Bloc. That's more context, you know? People are bigger, stronger, quicker, faster, all of that. Medical science, Djokovic, you know, he gets injured, it comes right back like nothing happened. You know, Nadal is the outlier because he would run himself into the ground by the US Open. I think it wasn't until like maybe a couple years ago that Nadal and Federer finally met at the US Open, because Nadal he never made it to the US Open. You know what I mean? It would just always collapse after Wimbledon because he had played himself into the ground so much. So I'm throwing all the stats out, and I'm saying for me, the golden era of tennis has already gone. It wasn't, you know, it's like saying we just lived in the golden era of football because we had Cristiano and Messi. I don't think so. I think we have Cristiano and Messi, but we've had, you know, a lot of good players in the past. But again, I'm not here to argue. I'm just making my point. So I agree with you on Alcaraz. You know, I think Alcaraz is a less injury prone Nadal. You know, is a less what's the word? One trick pony Nadal. You know, Nadal won like 14 French Opens. Okay, Alcaraz early on in his career is already shown he can do it on all surfaces. Nadal had to work his way into. It wasn't until that 2008, you know, Wimbledon that we're like, oh, he can play on grass. You know what I mean? And then from there, you know, he started doing that, but he didn't really do much at the US Open until much later. So I think Alcaraz will be the guy, like you said, for the next 5 years. Some other kid may get up, but at that early age, he already has the mentals. So that just makes him extremely dangerous because we know he has the physical. You can see it. You saw it when he was 18, you know, but he has the mentals much early on, you know, which brings me to the women's. Swiatek has the mentals right now, especially if you're on clay. She just thinks she's better than Coco. And honestly, Coco thinks Swiatek is better than Coco, you know, which is what makes Swiatek currently better than Coco. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, when you get to a female tennis tournament now, you look at the draw and you see where Swiatek is before you do anything.
Yeah.
You know, like no one's really checking for Zabalenka like that. You're happy when she drops off, when someone else knocks her out, but you're like, on a good day, I can beat her. No one's afraid of Coco, you know? Now, the one thing I always said about Coco since the first day I saw her against Venus was her floor is extremely high. It's one of the highest floors I've ever seen in a young athlete. And the reason is, again, for a 16-year-old, her mentors were fantastic. And she didn't beat herself. She didn't play like Serena and Venus, spraying balls all over the place. She plays very contained. And she just didn't make stupid mistakes. So my question back then was, and even up till maybe a year ago, until she won the US Open last year, was, does she have the ceiling? The floor is high, but how high is the ceiling? You know what I mean? So I knew she was going to be a pro. From the age 16, I'm like, she's not going to flame out. She has a good head on her shoulder. She has 2 great parents. She wants to do this. You know, she's going to be a pro. So are we talking Andy Roddick? You know what I mean? I knew we were not talking Anna Kournikova. I knew that. I just knew it. I'm like, she's going to win things. You know, it may be small things. I didn't know whether she was going to win Grand Slams. And then after 1 year, I'm like, she is going to win Grand Slams. And I started arguing with some people. So I'm happy she got it in early.
1 Grand Slam in 6 years, right?
She's 20.
It's
she's
not
20 years
looking
old.
good for her. No. I get
she's 20 years old.
I get that. I get that, right? And this mental block that she keeps having against Swiatek, she needs to overcome it, or else she's going to be in Swiatek shadows for her whole career, right? So which is why when Swiatek got knocked out at Wimbledon,
that was the chance.
Coco, this is your chance.
Yes.
You can then go lose. Who did she even lose to at the Wimbledon? I've forgotten who. And I was like,
the American girl. The American girl. I forget her name. Who now lost to Paolini. Yeah.
I'm like, what's her name what are you doing? You can't lose. You can't lose this game. This is not what you should be doing. You know?
Emma Navarro. Emma Navarro.
Imagine she lost to Navarro.
Yeah.
That's not where she should be, right?
I agree.
1 Grand Slam in 6 years is not good enough, right? Which is why I believe that all these ladies, there's so many things that are happening. So, for example, as deadly as Zabalenka is, Zabalenka on a good day can beat anybody because she's tall and she's the hardest hitter amongst all of them. Yeah, but she doesn't have. She likes to be the front runner, right? Once she's behind, she loses interest and she just kind of gives up, right? Which for me is not good from a mentality standpoint. But she has 2 Grand Slams already. She won the Australian Open in 2023 and she won it this year. So she won 2 Grand Slams, 2024 and 2023. Yeah. But you're looking at that crop and you're like, this is yearning for somebody to just say, you know what? I am the Serena of this class. I am the one that is going to dominate this class, right? And there are a whole lot of them. For example, Krejcikova won Wimbledon. Typically, Krejcikova she's not a top player, if you get what I mean. Rybakina won Wimbledon 2 or 3 years ago. Rybakina is not really a top player, you know? But which is why I go back to my take on the golden era of tennis, which I believe is Aki, if you sit down today and you say the 3 greatest tennis players of all time, Aki, it will be, and I don't want to start an argument here. Maybe we can argue this later. It will be in no particular order. It will be Djokovic, Nadal, and Federer, right? Now the 3 of them played together in an era, and you want to tell me that's not the golden era of tennis? You think it's Pet Sampras and Andre Agassi? Imagine if those 2 were here, or they played with Nadal and Djokovic. Do you really think they have a chance against those boys?
You're disappointing me right now because you're doing the thing that I never thought I'll see you do. I've never seen you do the Messi v Maradona thing. I've never seen you do that.
So it's a different ball game, and I'll explain to you why.
Okay,
right?
Tell me.
Because football is 11 people.
Okay.
It's a team sport. Tennis is mano a mano, is me against you.
Yeah, okay.
That is why you can argue that Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson, who is the better boxer? Because it's mano a mano. It's the same thing with golf. I can say who is the better golfer between what's his name, Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods. Because it's not a team sport. It is mano a mano. I can't do this for a team sport. I won't do this for a team sport.
You can do it number 10
versus number 10. Because there's so many other factors.
You can do it.
So once again, there's so many other factors, right?
Yes.
So many other factors. Because when you're looking at Maradona, I will say it again, he didn't have Iniesta and Xavi behind him, right?
Yeah,
do you think those people didn't contribute to Messi's greatness?
That's the context.
See Messi right now. surrounded with thugs. Maradona didn't have these thugs in his days. He was the thug. He was the thug. So you can't do that for a team sport.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I think, and I agree with you, I don't like doing it, but when it comes to individual sports, I think it's acceptable, right? And which is why I'm bringing this. And you remember, baseline tennis was not a thing. And Andre Agassi started baseline tennis. It was serve and volley, all sorts of crop shots and stuff like that. Agassi started baseline tennis. Federer took it to a different level. And Djokovic and Nadal looked at Federer and they were like, oh, really? That's how we're playing tennis henceforth. You now have baseline demons that they can stand at the baseline and direct the ball that will touch the line and you know. So tennis evolved, I get it, which is your point, which is why you're saying, you know, those guys opened the door for this era that I'm talking about to get ushered in. And I agree with you.
So,
context.
So, okay.
But, come on, man.
Go on. So, okay.
No. Go ahead. I'm done.
Okay. So, let's see if we can wrap this thing up. So, I think the way I would look at it is, let me put it this way. Say you have a Raul type striker, right? Because for me, Raul is like a good comp for Agassi. You know, longevity. He had a few dips, came back out of it. You know, as good as it gets.
Yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
I think it matters who you're playing against, right? So when you have 10 Raul types, right? Or you have 3 Ronaldo and Messi types, big gap, nobody at the Raul level, and then a bunch of people at the bottom. So the problem with saying, you know, the era we just came out of was the golden era is, who was number 4? You said Murray. Murray's not as good as Agassi. Murray wasn't good.
So Akin, if that's how you're going, right? So let's even ignore 4 downwards. Let's just talk about the top 3. And we go backwards, right?
Yeah.
Pete Sampras was playing against who? Please.
Agassi. Jim Courier.
Who else? So those guys that you're talking about, right? Which is why, once again, I say this is one-on-one, right? I saw them play. I saw them play, right? There's this Australian guy that was a heavy server. What's his name?
Philippoussis. Mark Philippoussis.
Mark Philippoussis and Pet Sampras were like heavy hitters. Same thing with Greg Ruseski from the Great Britain, right? Tim Hemman was the one that couldn't serve. Was the one that was playing all these crop shots and whatever.
Tim Hemman was like Gareth Southgate as a coach. They're not good. wasn't good.
Put any of these guys on court with Novak Djokovic. You thought Novak Djokovic will return almost.
Okay, but
you see what I'm saying?
Eras change, right? So I think Pele could have played in any era, right? So I think Pele could have played in any era.
Yeah.
I think, what's the name of Di Stefano? I think could have played in any era, right? You know, it would have been, Di Stefano was the fat one. He would have gotten in shape and he would have been okay, right? But there's some play. I don't know if Raul could have played in any era. You see what I mean?
Okay.
I think styles matter, context matters. But go on.
Okay, so once again, you're talking about team play. Let me put it this way. Not that Raul cannot even play any era. Put Raul in a team. Let me give you an example. Raul requires service to score.
Yes.
Some strikers need that.
Yeah.
Messi can work his own magic. CR7, R9, Fieri, they can work their own magic. Raul will not function in a team that doesn't provide service to him.
I understand. So that's the context.
When you're talking about team sports, there are too many moving parts. But in tennis, Yeah, there's no moving parts.
No,
Put Andre Agassi on the other side of Novak Djokovic.
But again,
he'll probably be 6'1", 6'1", 6'1".
Oh my God! But Yinka, it depends. But Yinka, it depends on what. Okay, the reason I keep going back. No, it depends on what era we playing. What era are we playing?
No. We're not talking about
that
era
matters.
Right now.
But it matters, Yinka.
No. I'm just saying. Okay. Don't you see what these boys are doing this time around?
I know. I see what
they are playing.
I see what. You have
what. Agassi will stay on one spot at the baseline and will be sending people on errand. Agassi was not an athletic tennis player. How can you know this? Right?
Yeah,
Pete Sampras will serve and volley all through a game, and he won how many championships doing that? You now have somebody that could do all in Roger Federer. Roger Federer could play baseline, he could serve and volley. He could his backhand is as good as his forehand.
And that's why he's the greatest to ever do it.
You now want to put him on the same court with I can stop it.
Yinka.
Stop it.
Okay. The last thing I'm going to say on this, the last thing I'm going to say on this is context matters. So, number one is medical science, right? So, I was watching ESPN FC yesterday, right? And you know how people send in comments? Hold on,
I'll pause you on this. Hold on. Forget medical science. I'm saying on the court, right?
I know.
Agassi at his prime against Federer at his prime.
But styles have also changed.
What did you have for dinner today? Because I'm worried about you. Come on.
Styles have also changed, is what I'm saying. Styles have also changed. So someone sent in a question to ESPN FC.
We agree. Styles have changed.
Okay,
so okay, go ahead.
So
go ahead,
so they said, I think it was one of those bench, start, bench, sell, discard, or whatever questions, right? And it was addressed to Steve Nichols. So it was a Liverpool question. So Ian Rush, Suarez, what's the name of the winger? Black guy, 80s, 90s.
John Barnes.
Yeah, John Barnes. And someone else. And Salah. Mohamed Salah. Right?
Okay.
So start, bench, sell, whatever, to the fourth person. And Steve Nichols, who played with Rushy and Barnes, was like, it depends on the team. No, I think someone else said it depends on the team. Look, do we have service or do we not have service? Because if we have service, Rush all day. Rush is a finisher all day, right? But on the wings, it's Barnes. Because back then, they had terrible pitches. He had to play defense. You know what I mean? He had to be creative. Things evolve. That's all I'm saying. But go on.
Okay, Aki, but what you just said now, and we should wrap this up, but you're talking about a team sport.
So but again, you're focusing on the team part of it. No. Do you know what you need to consider? Racket technology.
What do I need to consider?
Racket technology.
Come on.
No, you don't think it matters? Oh, you think these people are you think they're just that much stronger? Yeah, absolutely.
Racket technology, really? Did
absolutely.
You watch these people
Medical science, training methods. It's the same in every sport. Yinka, why do people run faster every year? Why do they run faster? Does it mean they have better technique necessarily?
So why is Muhammad Ali still to today the best?
No, it's just his mouth. I don't think it's the best boxer we ever saw. It's just his mouth. Because the that is the greatest doesn't make him the greatest. Excuse my French. But it's just his mouth. It's just his mouth. Okay. That's all it is.
All I'm trying to tell you is I get what you're saying. But you're giving it too much importance, right? That's my point. I think you're giving it too much importance in this particular context, right? Tennis is mano, is the same. Everybody plays across all the surfaces. Yeah? I get all your take on racket technology. Okay, give them the racket that we're using today, right? Give them the racket that you're using today. So when you say, medical, okay, yes,
that's
part
real.
of the package. Whatever. You want to level the playing surface, but I'm saying you're not leveling anything. Yeah? You're not leveling anything. Prime, all those guys, they're prime against Federer. I'm not even, because you can even argue who's better. Defensively, Djokovic is a better tennis player. Offensively, Federer is the greatest. There is no doubt about it. Yeah. Or if you now add the two of them, some people argue that Djokovic is the greatest. The Grand Slam supports that.
I don't care about volume. I don't care about
argue another day. But I don't care. And this is the only sport where I just watch as a fan. I love Djokovic, I love Federer, I love Nadal, and you know this. Out of the three of them, I'll say it's Djokovic that is number 3. And to be fair, I'll probably say Nadal is my favorite, then Federer. But the three of them, I love the three of them. Because I look at them and I marvel at these guys are just, we're watching greatness. And I'm glad that we witnessed this, yeah? But hey, that's my take on this anyway. I get your point in trying to level the field and considering other things to say Pet Sampras and Agassi and Bjorn Borg. And even Roddick.
The man retired at 26.
When Roddick came and was smashing serves as fast as anything, everybody thought Roddick was it.
No, it wasn't good.
See what happened to him.
It wasn't good. Anyway, but Bjorn Borg was an artist. It was an artist. Okay, Yinka, can you believe that we've done almost 30 minutes on tennis? I know we've done it. This has actually been good. All right, but we do have more questions.
I will revisit it. No problem. We'll make this one faster then. Go ahead.
All right. So, I think we've kind of discussed this, but let's do it. Which athletes or events are you most excited to watch in the Summer Olympics? So you start, then I'll go.
I'm not a gymnastics enthusiast. Well, whatever it is, Simone Biles, is that? Yeah. That's how we call
Simone
it, right?
Biles.
Whatever she's doing, I'm interested in, right?
Yeah.
Because when people dominate for that long, you're in awe, right? So I'm quite interested in what she has to offer. Female athletics, Sha'Carri Richardson, right?
Amazing.
Whatever happened to her last, was it the last Olympics? That she didn't even make the last Olympics because she didn't qualify. Right? She didn't make the team. Right, she's had the fastest time among the females this year. I'm really looking forward to how she will cope with the Jamaicans. So, to answer the question, for me, track and field is my thing when it comes to Olympics. Frankly, it's track and field, right? And it's everything in track and field. I'm looking forward to Tobi Amusan, to the Nigerian Tobi 110 meters hurdles.
100 meters, 100 meters for women. 100 meters hurdles.
Yeah. So in terms of events, for me, it's track and field, and all the athletes involved. But outside of that, I think it's Simone Biles and gymnastics. Just to see whether she can capture, another round of gold medals like she did in the last Olympics. Yeah.
Yeah. You? So for me, it's Simone Biles, but for a different reason. So after what happened to her the last time, she had what they call the twisties, meaning she would literally forget how many times she's supposed to turn in the air. And that put her life in danger. She could have broken her neck. She could have died. And frankly, when I think about it, I would not have the courage to come back. In the last 3 years, she's gotten married. She seems to have a pretty good relationship for what we can see from the outside. She's married to an NFL player. He was with the Green Bay Packers. Now he's with the Chicago Bears. The Bears gave him some time off to go watch out the Olympics. They have
cool.
They did. So he can leave training camp. They have a reality show where she talks about some of these things. For me, it's the most fascinating human interest story because everyone talks about mental health, but I think people just talk about it as a buzzword. For me, I actually think the young people who scream mental health all the time don't know the first thing about mental health, because when it comes time for them to take care of their mental health, they don't, And when I think about this woman and everything she went through, when I personalize it, I would have stayed my butt at home. There's no way I would not have had the courage. I would not have had the courage to come out. So for me, it's fascinating how courageous she is. And this is real courage. This is not just, everyone is so courageous now. This is real courage. She could have broken her neck. So one, the courage to say, I'm not right. I can't compete and pull herself out of competition is amazing to me from 2021. And then to be able to come back and say, hey, but for the team, I think she did the team event and won gold with her sisters, which is amazing. But now to come back, go through the US trials, go through the World Championships, and then show up at the Olympics and be doing what she's doing right now. So for me, it's the most fascinating thing at the Olympics for me. Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting. Interesting take. I love that.
Yeah, thank you.
So fingers crossed for Simone Biles. We're in support of her. I think she had an injury today.
Yeah, and she just bundled up today. Yeah, she bundled it up and just kept going.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
Amazing woman. Amazing woman.
It's crazy. All right. We have the third question we have it's very simple. Calafiori to Arsenal. Discuss.
Set up.
Yeah,
How many minutes do we have?
Let's just do it in a couple minutes. As we always say that we go on for 40.
Okay. So, Aki, maybe you should take this because you have an interesting thought about Arteta and his defenders.
Absolutely.
Remember a couple of episodes ago, you said Arteta builds from the back.
It does. It really does.
Arsenal had the best defense last year, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So you will think his first signing of the season will not be defensive. It will actually be offensive. But the man still wants to tighten up the defense a lot more.
Absolutely.
So maybe you elaborate on your take, and then talk about Calafiori, and I'll add to it. So go ahead.
Now, I've obviously never spoken to anyone at Arsenal. I don't know Arteta. This is my take on it. When Arteta first came in 4 years ago, his first signing was Pablo Mari. A tall, left-footed center-back, left-sided center-back, right? He didn't play left-back. He could play some holding midfield, but it was mostly a left-sided. So Arteta really believes in this center-backs need to be complementary thing. Pep started it. This wasn't a thing in world football before, Yinka. It was, I think most coaches would be like, hey, if you're left-footed, you should play. But we went through, when we were growing up, center-backs were usually both right-footed. Nobody cared.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't a thing. But now, Arteta kept saying it when his first few press conferences, and we didn't understand what he was saying. It was like, hey, I'm about specificity. And we're like, I thought it was maybe a translation thing because English is not his first language. But I'm like, it's been in the British Isles for 15 years. He knows English. He knows what he's talking about. So the specificity that he's talking about is I want specific players to play specific roles. It's why some otherwise good players will not work for him. What's the name of the Scottish left back? Tierney, Kieran Tierney. Otherwise good player. There was a time when it was like us, like a top 3 player at Arsenal. And Arteta is like, I can use him because I need my left back to do certain things, and that certain thing can change in the middle of the season, So Arteta has bought more goalkeepers than strikers. He's signed 4 goalkeepers. He hasn't signed 4 strikers. He signed Gabriel Jesus, 1. Because he signed Havertz as a midfielder, not as a striker. Okay, so this man, the conventional wisdom is Arsenal needs strikers. This man keeps buying goalkeepers and defenders. So at this point, I don't know if I agree or disagree. I think it doesn't matter what I think. This is what he's going to do, Yinka. This is what he's going to do. I think he believes that we can score enough goals. We will never score as many as a team that has Erling Haaland. But we don't have to if we don't concede. That's where he is. You know what I'm saying? So, and he wants, just like Pep, he wants control, right? Control for them means when we show up and the game starts, we control what you do. We control what we do, but we also control what you do. And I think the reason he needs a great back five is it doesn't really play a defensive mid. It plays like a Sergio Busquets type, So if you think about it, what's his name? I'm just so terrible with names now. Partey.
Rice.
Partey. No, Partey.
Okay,
Partey is not swashbuckling, hack you down, break your leg. No, I'm gonna get the ball, recycle it, and get it 30 yards up the field. That's Sergio Busquets. It's taking the ball on a half turn. That's a skill that they don't teach in England. So you got to go get someone from Spain to do it. Rodri, right? Partey. These are the best at the craft. Even if you look at Douglas Luiz, did he really come up in England? He's more of a, hefty. Yeah. He's not big, but he plays strong. But he also advances the ball forward. So the best teams, that's what they do. It's what Fabinho did for Liverpool all those years. So people are moving away. The best coaches in the world are moving away from the image of a central defensive midfielder shielding a back. No, the back four should shield themselves. You know what I'm saying? And then the quote unquote CDM should link play between your ball playing defenders, because every center back now is ball playing, or you're going to be on the bench. So for people who don't understand, this is, again, I don't have to agree with it. It doesn't matter what my opinion is. This is what Arteta believes.
Very, 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 very good take, Aki. I agree with almost everything that you said. Yeah. And I'm just going to add a couple of things to it. Just a couple, right? You notice last season, Kivior played left back for a significant amount of games. And those games coincided with when Arsenal had that run around that January till March that, until the only game that Kivior came off in the second half was in the Champions League, where, what's his name? Sané gave him the runaround.
A torrid time.
And I think it was in that game that Arteta said, I need a better version of Kivior.
Absolutely.
And it was like, so who's the better version of Kivior? Yeah? Oh, Calafiori is the better version of Kivior. He started off playing left back, then he had this growth spot, and it became a 6'3", 6'4" guy. He's left-legged, he can move to the midfield with the ball, right? Then we went to the Euros and we saw Calafiori be Italy's best player, right? And Arteta is like, okay, that's it, right? I've always said I need to improve my team, right? Yeah. I'm getting this guy. If Juventus, AC Milan or Inter want Kivior, they can have him, right? But I believe Calafiori is a better version. And I think Calafiori will be your starting left back for Arsenal.
I think so.
Right? Once he's fit and he's back. Yeah. I think he'll be the starting left back. Now, you now have wardrobes, 4 wardrobes. Like, God bless him. What's his name? Papa Diop, so, right? His nickname was the wardrobe, right?
Wardrobe, yeah.
Now, Arsenal have 4 wardrobes, right? Ben White is the shortest in that group, and he's still 6 foot. 6,
yeah, 6, yeah. It's tall.
So, good luck. You thought Arsenal scored set pieces goals last season. You thought they scored, you guys don't even have the slightest clue, right? And it also then adds, remember, Julian Timber was bought last season, he didn't play.
Yeah.
Right? We'll talk about the Arsenal friendlies shortly. Timber was on, the last 2 games, he played centre-back. Once again, Timber can play centre-back, he can play right-back, he can play left-back, he can play defensive midfield.
Absolutely.
So that means the only Arsenal player that can play multiple positions, and I've said this before, is Gabriel, the centre-back. He is the least versatile player in Arsenal. And if you stretch it, he can actually play left-back if you want to stretch it, right?
Yeah. If you play 3 at the back. Yeah.
Exactly. But every Arsenal player can play multiple positions. And I mean every Arsenal player. go through, except the goalkeepers, obviously. They
yeah,
can,
of course,
you know,
of course. Yeah.
But outfield players, Gabriel is the only one that cannot play multiple positions effectively. Saliba can play right back comfortably because he's mobile, he's fast, he's better on the ball than Gabriel. The whole front line can play. Rice can play multiple positions. Partey can play multiple positions. Zinchenko multiple positions. Timber multiple positions. Odegaard, Ben White. Go through the whole Arsenal list. Yeah. So it's a perfect fit for Arsenal. We'll talk about the one-ended, so don't let me jump the gun. But I agree with your take. Calafiori is a good fit for Arsenal. Let's see how he performs during the season. Yeah.
All right. So the next question is actually for me. And the question goes, why do you dislike Southgate as a coach? And I'm like, very simple. It's terrible. Why don't you? No. But jokes apart. So here's the thing. So it's interesting why in football, they call, the head of the coaching staff the manager, right? Because back in the day, the manager controlled everything. He decided who got contracts. Yeah. He negotiated the contracts with agents. It took first team training and all of that. And then you go back to the 80s, maybe 80s, 90s, you started having a manager with a first team. They call them, first team coach, right? And then there was this story of Sir Alex Ferguson not going to training, just chilling in his office, drinking coffee and watching everyone train, And that's when you knew it was time to retire, right? For many years, he didn't go to training because there was a first-team coach that was taking training. So why do I say all this? Southgate can coach, right? It's obvious. I don't have to be in the room with him. It's the same way I know Lampard cannot coach. It's the same way we know that Steve Kerr in basketball cannot coach. He just has talented players around him, and he has one of the most brilliant minds to ever play the game in LeBron James on his team at these Olympics. You don't have to do anything because LeBron just is. I don't know how his mind works in other areas, but in basketball, no one knows more basketball than LeBron. Because LeBron sees things like 15 million steps ahead of everyone else. He's a genius when it comes to basketball, right? So you're not coaching LeBron; he's coaching you. What are we talking about? So back to Southgate. Southgate has no courage. As a man, I don't respect people who are not courageous. I just have no respect for this guy. It's not courageous. Waiting until the 62nd minute and waiting for the opposing coach to make a move and then you counter them. No, that's not impressive to me. I watch even coaches of bottom clubs in the EPL do things and I'm like, oh, never seen that before. That's interesting to me. I've seen successive coaches of Crystal Palace, the one I supported, Vieira, do things that I'm like, oh, with that level of talent, that's not bad. I've seen an old man take over from him, do things, get things out of Eze that I hadn't seen Vieira get out of him. I'm like, oh, at 89 years old, impressive. And then I've seen a young, brilliant coach succeed him and transform the whole thing and make Mateta look like a real striker. So there is good coaching that happens on terrible teams all the time. But there's no coaching happening on the England national team. Nobody gets better on the England national team. Absolutely nobody. I don't know who sent the question in, but I challenge you. You show me one player in 8 years that is better for England than it's been for his club. The answer is zero. So I don't hate this guy. I'm sure he's a perfectly great husband and father, and is a great politician, But I'm sorry, English people, how do I put this? The bar is very low, I mean, they came from giving their country over to foreign coaches. That didn't work out. And then they had a coach that was there for 2 days because he was selling tickets and stuff. So that's what they came from. So they just wanted someone to clean up the scandal, and handle the press. It's like they wanted a David Beckham. they put a David Beckham in charge. That's it. That's what Southgate is. Not the ball-playing Beckham, the other Beckham, the captain Beckham, kissing babies and shaking hands and stuff. I don't care about all that. Like, I'm not English. I don't care about any of this. I look at, can you coach? So again, I asked the person who sent in the question. This man is English, right? This man is English. There are 20 teams in the English Premier League. Okay? If lightning struck today, okay, and all the 20 coaches disappeared, is anyone hiring Southgate? Is in search of a job right now? Can he get the 20th job in the Premier League right now? If you're being honest with yourself, the answer is no. Yinka?
Absolutely not. Totally agree with you. But first things first. The person that sent in the question, I'm surprised you sent the question directly to Akin. Right? Because
I want some too.
I would say that I'm a worse Southgate hater than this young man.
Oh my
God! I did a whole unpopular opinion segment.
Yes, you did.
On Southgate being bottom barrel, bottom pot.
Oh my gosh!
I did that. I told everyone that Southgate was sacked from Middlesbrough, and all the way he became the England national team manager. From being fired, he was sitting on his couch when he was hired. Anyway, so that was on the light note. But I couldn't have said it.
It's amazing,
right?
Yeah, thank you.
He just doesn't. Okay. It doesn't have the chops. It doesn't have the chops at all. Anyway, let's move on.
All right. What do we have for worthy mention? So first is some friendlies are happening. We're not really paying as much attention because of the Olympics, because of and all that. But we should talk about it. Yinka, I think I'd like you to take this one. Chelsea and City. Chelsea don't look great under their new manager, Maresca. This fills me with so much joy. So I don't think I should talk about this. And then with City, so we talked about really only Rodri really covered himself in glory in the summer tournaments that we just watched. The other City players were like, So is that a thing? Is it not a thing? Will Pep just come back and whip everybody into shape and it doesn't matter and they're going to win again? So take Chelsea and City and then just give us your take on that.
Okay, so Chelsea, they've had 2 games so far. There was a 2-2 draw with Wrexham, Ryan Reynolds' team. By the way, Ryan Reynolds'
who just got promoted. They just got promoted into League 2. League 2, Yinka. That's the fourth division in England. But go
on. Anyway, so Chelsea drew 2-2 with Wrexham. Then they played Celtic, the Scottish champions, yesterday, and they were walloped 4-1 or so. Yeah, 4-1. I think the game ended 4-1. So
it was 4-0 and then 4-1.
It's not the score that was. Yeah, It wasn't the score that was trouble, that was worrying for me. It's the nature. Akin, it was like butter through knife. Celtic, oh God. Oh no. They were just, it was like every single attack Celtic was going to score, right? Now, to be fair, Celtic are further along in their preseason because their league starts next weekend. Yeah? So you can say they were much readier, blah, 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 because the same Celtic also beat City, right? But City's team, City can actually give the excuse that the only recognizable person on the team is Erling Haaland. Every other person is still on vacation because they had prolonged, tournaments. Cole Palmer got to the finals, Akanji got to the semis, Belgium got to the quarters. So they're just easing themselves into training. I don't even think Akanji and Cole Palmer are even in the US at all. But the other squad members are there, but they're not fit yet to play. You can say that for City, but for Chelsea, oh no, Celtics they finished them, right? And early days for Maresca, I agree. Early days, but it's not looking good. City, on the other hand, like I said, they lost to Celtic. They played Milan yesterday. They lost to Milan also, right? Once again, Erling Haaland was the only recognizable person. It was filled with kids and some, fringe players and all, right? But this just tells you the importance of some of these guys, right? The Rodris of this world, the De Bruynes of this world, the Bernardo Silvas of this world to City. Yeah. People keep saying, what's his name? That Pep gives young guys opportunities and stuff. And I'm looking at those guys, I'm like, you all don't really have young players, apart from the ones we know that are better than some of the ones that are Chelsea, Arsenal, and even United, But yeah, it's early days, it's preseason. But if these two games are anything to go by, they're not looking good, especially Chelsea. Yeah, Aki.
Okay. Pep will be fine. City will be fine. I'm not worried about them. But I've taken so much heat from Chelsea fans and Man U fans about how we didn't win anything, even though we're the only team the last 2 seasons that provided any competition to City. So what I would just remind them is Arteta has been with us now for 4 years, 3.5 really, 3 seasons and a half. His first season, it took over in December. We finished 25 points behind the champions. His second season, we came eighth. We came eighth, I think. His second season, we finished 24 points behind the champions. And I think was he eighth again or fifth or whatever it was? I think we came fifth.
But we made Europe.
But we finished.
We came fifth.
Yeah. 24 points behind. And then his third season, we came second. We finished 5 points behind the champions. And then the last season, second again, 2 points behind. So 25, 24, 5, and 2. I know it's not a trophy. It's not a Calabash Cup. So enjoy your Calabash Cup, Man U. But how many points behind did you finish? But let me stop. Yinka, there was another friendly last night on Saturday at the SoFi Stadium, which is the architectural wonder. There's a whole lot, for our listeners, Google it. SoFi Stadium, owned by, the family that owns the LA Rams and Arsenal, the Kroenke family. Apparently there was, because the airport is so close to it, they had to build into the ground. Something ridiculous like that. So that's why it cost $5 billion. But, these people are so rich, it doesn't really matter to them. They literally paid the city of St. Louis billions to take the Rams out of St. Louis to LA.
Bring it to
LA.
LA.
It ain't my money. Arsenal played United. A couple things. Yinka, I think I was wrong about Arteta signing Rashford. I don't think Arteta is going to sign Rashford.
No. Sit on that hill. You have to be on that hill. In fact,
I just said I was wrong.
I'll treat you like a kid and say you're in timeout. I don't want to hear any take from you.
But I just came here.
You kept on saying, Rashford. Yeah, now continue.
Yinka, he hasn't done anything this summer. He looks terrible. He looked awful. Playing against kids. He looks so bad. So there's 2 things that stood out to me. 3 things. 1, how bad Rashford was. He can't even run anymore, which was amazing. 2, Casemiro started as captain ahead of Maguire. I thought that was very interesting. So I'm like, you're really going to play Casemiro this season? And you think you're going to do something? The man can't run. His legs are gone. So I thought that was interesting. So I know we have many Man U fans. So I don't know what you all are doing. Onana, so for this series, they play the regular 90 minutes and then they practice PKs. Yeah. So Arsenal won 2-1. Højlund scored first, and then Arsenal scored 2 goals and won. And then the penalties, they won. But Onana was talking to Gabriel, the defender, and pointing to a direction for him to play the PK to. And Gabriel played it to that direction and scored. And was like, it was so crazy to me. And I'm like, Onana, you've had all summer to not come back crazy. Why are you still crazy?
That was very unprofessional, by the way. Actually.
It was so bizarre.
It was irritating and unprofessional. What are you doing? Yes, it's a friendly game. You can't do that. If I were to be Ten Hag, I would send him a message and say, stop being a clown. The only thing you don't have is white face and a red nose. What are you doing?
It was terrible.
Anyway, go ahead.
So I've given my take on United. The kid Euro came off early. I don't think he was injured. I think he came off because Jesus had him on spliff, as they say. Jesus looked like he was up for it. He looked completely healthy. When he plays like that, no one talks about Arsenal needing a number 9. He was on fire. And then Højlund looked good. Højlund looked really good, but he came off injured. But it was also going up against Heaven, who is a 17-year-old center back for Arsenal. So,
absolutely.
And it takes a while for goalkeepers and center backs especially to really develop. But, kudos to him for recognizing the kid. The kid was a vulnerability and going at him. Not everyone can do that.
Absolutely.
So, all right, that's my take on United. What's your take on Arsenal?
Okay, so by the way, I totally agree with everything you've said. Rashford, Højlund, Euro, Casemiro. I saw Casemiro with the handband. I'm like, what's going on here? I was like, what's this? So I think my guy is a surplus to requirement, but nobody's picking him up, right? I think it's the same too for Casemiro. And the guy is just like, well, if he's here, I might as well use him. Which other option? Who else do I have? Right? You didn't talk about Mason Mount for United, who looked good.
Oh, yeah. It looked good.
He looked good.
Real. But, I always liked him.
I'm happy for him. I always liked him. And I'm happy for him. I look forward to a good season for him. To Arsenal, the team still didn't have a couple of people, right? And even though the young boys that came in, the goalkeeper and Heaven, apart from he being bullied by Højlund, right? Yeah. Because Højlund is a big bully and he's kind of skinny, right?
Yeah.
I think he had a good game. But
he did.
Arsenal's star player so far in the 2 games they played this preseason is Ethan Nwaneri.
Absolutely.
And it's not even close.
Absolutely.
He's been so good that he's overtaken a couple of people on the pecking order. We had Charlie Patino, for example, who we thought was ahead. They didn't even bring him.
They didn't bring him to the US.
Nwaneri's first game, the game we played against Bournemouth, he's the only player that played 85 minutes.
Wow.
I think Arteta really wants to see what this boy can offer, which is why he only played 45 minutes in this game. And he held his own, provided an assist. He did not look out of place. No. I'm beginning to question whether you need to get an extra midfielder at this point.
I'm not questioning. You don't.
Yeah. Exactly. If you have an extra left back, maybe it's high time you push Zinchenko to that left side of midfield as an option. You have Rice there as an option. You have Ethan Nwaneri there as an option. You have Fabio Vieira there as an option. You have Leandro Trossard there as an option. We have 5 people. That's assuming, what's his name? Emil Smith-Rowe goes to Fulham, right?
You have Havertz there as an option.
You have 6 people. Then you have...
Yeah.
So why do you really need Merino, right? Yeah.
Merino is big. It's tall.
Merino is another wardrobe. Yes. And he's played Premiership football before.
Yeah.
He was at Newcastle. He had a season or 2 at Newcastle.
It was.
And I liked him when he was at Newcastle. I was surprised Sociedad was the only one that was in for him. when he left Newcastle. But I think Iwanel is not going on loan. I think he's going to be in the team. The other player that impressed me was Lewis Kelly, right?
He came in at left back.
Yeah, so the Bournemouth game, he started at that Zinchenko role, and he played a significant. He's comfortable on the ball, he's left-legged. So, maybe those boys don't need to go on loan. Maybe you need to integrate them into the team. Martinelli looked sharp, right? He came on and he changed the game. So this is Arsenal without the backbone. Notice this.
That's very true.
Arsenal without the goalkeeper, the defender, standout goalkeeper, standout defender, standout midfielder, and standout man up front. Saka, Rice, Saliba, and Raya were not there.
That's true.
And over the last 2 games, they've looked sharper than Chelsea, City, United, and all the people that have been. So I think this portends something positive for Arsenal, right? I think this season, if they don't win the league, I'm not putting anybody under pressure, but I think this season, if they don't win the league, this is the first that I'll be like, okay, maybe we underachieve. Yeah?
Yeah, I agree.
I'm being very, very honest. Right? If you don't win the league, you have to win a trophy this year. You have to.
I think personally, I think they need to win the league and a cup. That's just me. Because guess what? Chelsea under Mourinho would have. Okay?
Yeah.
Obviously. City under Pep, obviously. I can't really put Klopp in that same category because, there was never a time where Klopp spent all the money. Klopp spent all the money once, and that was the money from one player sale, so I can't really put them under that kind of pressure. But 2 things that stood out for me about Arsenal. Martinelli came back early, right? There's not many people that played at the Copa that are already playing for their clubs.
He didn't get that much games, He didn't get that much games.
But it was still training. Gabriel too.
Gabriel. Yeah. That's why the 2 of them decided to come back early.
Yeah. But that tells me that 1, they're up for it. They want to do it.
Yeah.
And 2, Arteta is ruthless. It's like, dude, we didn't come here to play. Let's go.
Yep.
And Jesus with his surgically repaired, whatever it was, he repaired this time. It looks like he's ready to go. So, Yinka, I think I said this a couple episodes ago. I'm really sad about Emile Smith-Rowe. For me, is Saka level when it comes to just, feelings I have for them as Hill End boys. I don't feel anything for Nketiah. He can go whenever he's ready. Don't care. But ESR and Saka, the fact that, when we sold Iwobi, it just crushed me. But now if we sell ESR, I don't know, man. It's really gonna crush me. But Yinka, Nketiah is a great segue to our next topic. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, my caveat is when this man we're about to talk about, John Mikel Obi, when he speaks, is usually garbage when he speaks. But on this one occasion, he spoke some truth. So, broken clock, all of that stuff. So he has a podcast, the Obi-Wan podcast. Not as good as your podcast, but not everyone can be us.
Yeah.
So let me read something he said on his podcast that ESPN posted. They want to play for England, France, whatever it is, and then they wait. When they get to 25 or 26 and they don't get a call up from England, then they call Nigeria. We shouldn't be treated as second options. You should be proud of your African roots. You should be proud to represent your African country. If you decide you want to play for England, stick to it. Sit and wait, but don't wait till 29 or 30. You've passed your best. Then you're like, oh, Nigerian FA, I'm ready to play for you now. No. F off, mate, was what he said. There are many things I could say about this. I'm like, what? Doesn't he have a European mate that he made a baby with? Okay, just me. So don't talk to me. Don't come here talking about being proud of your African roots, weren't there? But anyway, you can't go. You take it.
So you're right. It's not everything that when he opens his mouth and he talks, it's not everything that we agree with. But in this particular instance, when I was listening to, because I actually saw the video clip, I was like, speak on it. I was like, go. I was really, and it's high time you call out these people's BS.
Yeah.
And what he said, I couldn't have said it better. Yeah. And we've talked about this in the past, Aki. We have on a couple of episodes. You cannot treat the other national teams or the African national teams as your fallback option. If I come to meet you the first time and you tell me no, the FA should have pride. Maybe they don't. Maybe it is their fault too. Each FA should have the pride to say, you turned us down once. Why on earth should we give you the second chance? Why on earth should we give you the second chance? Now, even FIFA should do something about this. We talked about Emiliano Nsue, right? A couple of episodes ago. That kind of nonsense should not be happening. You can't play for a team and years down the line, there might be an option for you to switch allegiance. What are we talking about? So Ansu Fati can wake up 4 years from now when he's a nobody in Spain and says, hey, Burkina Faso, hey, how about giving me a chance to come and play for you? That should not happen. Wilfred Zaha doing what he did and coming to Côte d'Ivoire to come and play. That nonsense should not happen. Right? So these players will then think twice and really say, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Right? Tammy Abraham will not be in the what do you call it? In the purgatory that he's in right now. Right?
In the wilderness.
Who else? In the wilderness that is in right now. Fikayo Tomori will not be in the wilderness that they are in right now. Sometimes I want to tell them, Nto is you. You caused it. I want to mock them. But I'm telling you. But to be frank and to be really, really serious with you, right?
Oh gosh.
Mikel, you can quote Mikel, put it in the Hall of Fame of quotes.
Yeah.
He was absolutely spot on, right? But our FAs, they don't have shame. When they are 30 and they have nowhere else to go, we'll go and beg them. Efan Ekoku is an example. They were chasing him to come play for a long time. And when he realized, I'm not going to cut it with England, then he come and you take him to the World Cup. What nonsense is that? What nonsense is that? Anyway, Aki, over to you.
I feel your frustration. I feel your pain. So I posted this on our class group and one of our friends responded to it. Let's just say charitably, he doesn't really follow the sport. And one thing he said is, what is how did he put it? I think he said, what is the condition of the teams, meaning the African teams that they're supposed to play for? And initially I didn't understand what he meant. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then he explained like the condition of the national team. I'm like, they're not well run. If you mean the FA, they're not well run. But for me, Yinka, this is actually a selfish calculation that I'm telling these guys to make. So hear me out. I said this was a good segue from Nketiah. Ed Nketiah, I believe, should be 24 now. I don't think it's 25 yet. I think it's 24. I think ESR is 23 and Saka is 22. Ed Nketiah, for the last 4 years, fans have been clamoring that Arsenal sell him. Okay? Ed Nketiah will now be Arsenal's number 9 ever. Okay, ever. When he took the number 14 shirt at the beginning of last season, there was almost a revolt because that's Henry's shirt. And when they gave him £100,000 a week, there was almost a revolt. But Yinka, as you've explained before, it was a business decision. Ed Nketiah on the books cost £0, right?
Yeah.
So you're better off paying him £3.5 to £5 million a year, than buying someone for 40, 45 million who may not be as good as he is. But he's not is not the truth. Is not the future, right?
Absolutely.
Now, he may be on his way to Marseille right now because your boy De Zerbi likes him. Go figure, and wants to sign him. Arsenal wants 40 million pounds for him. He'll probably go for 25. There's no way he goes for more than what Balogun went for last summer, maybe 30. But here's the problem, Yinka. Why are we talking about Eddie Nketiah? Eddie Nketiah is Ghanaian. And the Ghanaian FA has been chasing Eddie Nketiah. And this kid thinks he's going to play for England. I'm like, bruh, you can't even play consistently for Arsenal. Yinka, I'm not a betting man, but I can bet.
He has played for England. He has played for England. You don't know what England is doing right now. Sorry, you continue your take. What England is doing, England is capping these people so that these national teams cannot play them. And these boys can't see through that.
That happened after the World Cup. Before the World Cup, they were chasing him and Inaki Williams.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Inaki Williams, whose little brother, Nico, played for Spain at the Euros. Inaki Williams, So Inaki played for Ghana. But our boy, Eddie Nketiah, was like, no. He said no again. After Ghana qualified for the World Cup, they went back and begged him again, and he still said no. And now, is he going to have more than one cap for England, Yinka? You think he's going to have up to 5 caps?
I will be shocked if he does.
So, I had to say something about the two guys you mentioned, Fikayo Tomori and Tammy Abraham. I think those two, there's mitigating circumstances. I continue to believe that the best England defender alive and active right now is Fikayo Tomori. I just love his game, right? I think it's an exceptional, if not world-class, near world-class defender. For whatever reason, the England coach doesn't like him. He's better than Gay, who is also black, so I can't say it's racism necessarily. Coach just doesn't like him. And then with Tammy, the problem with Tammy was he got a really bad injury. And, you're at number 9, and Kane is not going anywhere. So Tammy may have gotten a few more caps if he hadn't had that injury. But the reality, though, is before you, there was Gabby Agbonlaho, who got maybe 11 caps, maybe. And then that was it. Gabby would have played 40 times for Nigeria. That's the reality of it. So you need to be intelligent and make this calculated decision. Like, look, being an international is good for your career. Look at Iwobi. People can abuse Iwobi in Nigeria and outside Nigeria. It doesn't matter. He's a consequential player on the Nigerian national team. And he would have had maybe 2 or 3 caps for England. At some point, when Henderson was messing up, they would have called Iwobi. They would have given him 1 or 2 caps. But once you get 1 or 2 caps, that's it. So you can say you're an England international. Yeah, but people know, the clubs who are going to sign you, they know the difference between Alex Iwobi and, I don't know, and Declan Rice. They're not going to mistake one for the other. So for me, unless if Ethan Nwaneri says, I think I'm going to be one of the best, I think I'm one of the best 17-year-olds in world football. And I back myself to be one of the best 27-year-olds 10 years from now. I'm going to hold out for England. I respect that. Even Mikel Olise qualifies for Algeria, Nigeria, France, and England.
And France,
is now playing U23, which I don't think ties him because this is not an official FIFA thing at the Olympics at U23. I think he can still play for another country, but it's more than likely, now that he's going to Bayern Munich, it's more than likely he will play for France now, right? But, so I'm okay if Olise doesn't play for Nigeria. But, I'm sorry, Tammy Abraham, I wish he had played for Nigeria, because now he would be making this team, in my opinion. He would be making the Nigerian team. And I think Fikayo Tomori was just unlucky, but maybe now that England is going to have a new coach, maybe that new coach will actually look at Serie A and see that there's some good English players playing there. So my charge will be, look, Mikel's right. When I see all these, West African, players of West African descent playing for France, honestly, I wish they didn't. I wish they played for Guinea and Mali and all the 10 Guineas, and let France find other players. Now, Yinka, the counter argument to that is, oh, you're born in the country, blah, 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 integration, this, that, and the other. And to that, I say, I don't care. You can be a full citizen. This is a very intentional, particular thing.
I agree with you.
You don't have, you know what I mean? Yeah, it is a very intentional thing. Like where's your affinity? What is your affinity to? What's your affiliation to? This is a very intentional thing. People do it all the time. What's the name of the guy that went to Saudi from Man City and played for Spain at the Euros instead of France? Laporte,
yeah.
Laporte could have played for France. Deschamps didn't like him, so he played for Spain. Griezmann could have played for Spain, I think. So it happens all the time. I think the African players or African affiliated players should choose to play for their countries. Like, I wouldn't say that for the Surinamese players, for example. They don't even have a real team. Pray for the Netherlands. I'll play for the Netherlands. But the Africans, your teams can do something. Mali can do something. Senegal can do something.
Yeah.
Nigeria can do something. So that's my take.
So, Akin, just to wrap this up, I totally agree with you. You've said it 1,000,001 times. For example, the worst case in this situation is Tim Weah playing for the US. Yeah.
Oh, why did you have to say that? You're going to set me off again. You're going to set me off again.
Don't go off. But that's the worst case scenario. And I agree with you. So, once again, not name dropping. The wedding I went for today, Lukman Ademola's dad was there. And
nice.
I saw him and we spoke. And it, as we were talking, it just goes back to family orientation. Lukman grew up in the UK. Yeah. But his dad is a Nigerian man, a Lagos man, deep Lagos man, right? It's surprising that people will go and beg player like Edin Ketia, who is not a star player, quote and unquote, and you still turn them around. If I'm his parent, anyway, maybe I shouldn't go that route, but you get what I'm saying.
How do I put this, Yinka? Okay, I'm raising 2 kids in these United States, a girl and a boy. The boy's 5, so who knows what he's going to do. But the girl and I talk about this stuff all the time. She's Nigerian. She was born in the U.S., has a U.S. passport. For all intents and purposes, she's American, whatever that means. But she's Nigerian. And if you really want to piss her off, tell her she's not Nigerian. She'll fight you. There was a time when she didn't eat spicy food. And I would say things like, you can't be Nigerian if you don't eat spicy food. And before the words even leave my mouth, she's like, that's not true. She's like, that's not true. I don't have to eat spicy food to be Nigerian. You know what I'm saying? And I think one day we woke up and she's eating more spice than I'm eating. You know what I'm saying? So when I hear these things about, but they grew up, are you raising them or are you not raising them? I don't want to hear it. So again, I can't tell anyone else how to raise their kids.
How to raise their kids, exactly.
But I'm like,
you just wonder at times. You wonder at times. I'm telling you.
You're either in or you're not. And I'm sorry. If you're not Bukayo Saka good, look at the history of the England national team. You already know. You know how they're going to treat you.
You already know. Exactly. Even the one that is Bukayo Saka good, you see how they treat him. You see
how they treat him. Yinka, Jordan Henderson has 80 plus caps. Yinka, if Jordan Henderson was black, it would have. It won't make not 8 caps. It wouldn't have 8 caps. No. Because Yinka, who is the black equivalent of Jordan Henderson? It's not Iwobi. Iwobi is twice as good as Henderson. Yeah. So there is no black equivalent of Henderson that is anywhere near the England national team.
Anywhere near the England national team. Loftus-Cheek is way better than him.
Loftus-Cheek bigger, stronger, more athletic.
Where is he right now? Done. Anyway,
no, not just that. Yinka, who is the? I'm glad you brought up Loftus Cheeks. There's another former Chelsea player at Nottingham Forest. You know who I'm talking about?
The Ghanaian boy.
No, also hyphenated name. What's his name? Is it Ghanaian?
Oh, Gibbs White. Gibbs White.
No, not Gibbs White. Not Gibbs White. The other one. He likes to drift left and then curve the ball into the net from the left.
Oh, it's a Ghanaian boy. I've forgotten his name.
Is it Ghanaian?
He's Ghanaian.
Okay.
He played on the 17 with Smith Rosette.
Okay. Yes. You know who I'm talking about. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can find him. Yeah, not Elanga. It was the other one.
No, it
was on loan.
Oh,
I didn't know it was on loan.
Nelson Odoi or so. Something Odoi.
No, Callum Hudson-Odoi. Callum Hudson-Odoi. So
Hudson-Odoi. Yeah.
Hudson-Odoi. Yinka, if Hudson-Odoi was white, it would have several England caps. Several.
He's Ghanaian, by the way. He's Ghanaian also.
So, anyway,
he's Ghanaian. Anyway, let's hang this suit on the rack for now. We'll revisit this this discussion some other time in the future, right? So, Aki, let's wrap up today's session with my donkey of the week. Yeah. And I'll make it very fast.
Do you have one?
2 nominees.
Okay, go for it.
Two nominees, but there's a winner, right?
Okay,
so 2 nominees. The whole VAR team for the Argentina-Morocco game, right? Come on, guys. 2 hours after, now coming to draw the lines and tell me I'm offside. 2 hours after, when the people that caused the invasion is the opposing team, I'll let it slide. But that's me. So
amazing.
Don't do that again. It's a bloody waste of everybody's time. Then number 2 is the Manchester United goalkeeper, Andre Onana. Right? Is this this is not the first time Onana will make my list, is it?
It's not the first time.
Onana was being completely unprofessional. Right? And if I were to be his coach on the sideline, I would have put him straight. You don't do that. I don't care whether it's a friendly match. I don't care. You can't be doing that. That's clownish behavior, right? And this is you that, to some extent, people have attributed unseriousness to you. People have attributed you not being focused. And you get on the pitch and you're doing that. He didn't only do it for Gabriel. He did it for almost all the spot kick takers. It was only Gabriel that responded to him and said, "What's your problem?" Right? That's not what you should be doing. I've never seen any goalkeeper do this ever. Friendly match, These are the kind of stuff that is left for training matches or Sunday league. Even Sunday league goalkeepers will not do this nonsense. They won't do that, right? So, having said that, right, Andre Onana is my donkey of the week. Don't ever do that again. Ever. I rest my case, Aki.
All right. So, good one. That was really bizarre to watch. Arsenal play Liverpool in Philadelphia on Wednesday night. I will be there. It's about
Wednesday there.
2-hour, 10-minute drive from my house. So I will be there. Can't wait. Looking forward to it.
We want content.
Yeah.
Please.
Oh yeah. I would try to record some things. Also, in a nice twist. Yeah. It's the Lincoln Financial Field where the Philadelphia Eagles play. So, I'm an Eagles fan, so that should be fun. That would be my first time at that stadium. I've actually never seen the Eagles play at home before, so that would be my first time at the stadium. So I'm looking forward to it. All right,
interesting. I'll watch it on my TV in my house.
In your house.
In my house.
Put your feet up.
Watch it on my TV in my house. Put my feet up. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
In my house. Anyway.
All right.
So Aki, that's our session for today, right?
Absolutely.
For the week.
Yeah. We can wrap it.
We've covered everything. So once again, guys, we started off by making a subscription plea. So I'm going to wrap it up once again by doing same. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have quite a number of subscribers on Instagram that have not done the same on YouTube. And tell your friends about us. Also smash the notification bell so you can get notifications when we release content. And we will see you next week. Akin, final words?
Yeah, we'll see you next week. Thank you all. Thank you, Yinka. This was fun. Thank you for all the questions. Keep them coming. So if we get more questions, we can have a permanent Q&A segment on these episodes. And then this was really fun. So thank you all.
All right, people.
All right.